My wife Vicky means more to me than my own life. I've consulted doctors after hours, anonymous clinical helplines, even a suicide hotline for Christ's sake. The only course of action that I have left is to release her into professional medical care. As weak as it makes me sound, I just know that once I do that, I'll never see my wife again. I'm overly long-winded and even more so when I'm upset about something, so bear with me. The day started like many others, with the rough sound of wood grinding against wood drilling through my subconscious like a boring bit, rudely rousing me from sleep. "All right, honey," I mumbled to Vicky, who I knew was pretending to be asleep so I'd get the baby. "Devin's awake now." I opened my eyes and stared at Devin, who had managed to scoot his crib across the entire floor to my bedside. "Stay here and watch him so I can pee. If you don't let me pee by choice, it'll happen on its own anyway, causing Mommy to be in a very, very bad mood today." Vicky grumbled through sleep-swollen lips as she threw the covers off of herself and rose to her feet. She kissed the top of my head and handed me some dehydrated banana slices to keep Devin busy as she rushed to the master bathroom. Our puppy, Jet, was clawing on the outside of the second bathroom door, desperate to drain her own bladder. "Hang on, pup," I yelled out, letting her know that I was aware that she's awake and had to go outside. Devin was outside of his crib completely by now. I could hear his little feet paddling around the house. My temples pounded as I heard giggles scatter through the rooms around me. Looking back now, I honestly don't know why I was surprised. It's been like this almost every morning since my baby learned how to walk. Seconds after Vicky stepped out of the bathroom, her face scrunched up in anger and disgust. "What happened?" I asked, looking down at her feet. Her middle toes were surrounded by a smeary, wet blob on the bathroom carpet. "Ugh, oh my god, it's so squishy. The viscosity of it alone makes me want to puke," she lamented. Surveying the scene, I discovered she'd stepped in 2 of many pieces of discarded banana slices. After placing Devin behind the baby gate in the living room, Vicky limped to the laundry hallway in search of a dirty towel to clean her foot with. I stifled laughter through my palm as I took care of my own bathroom needs. I freeze midstream as I hear a dreaded sound of something scattering across the living room floor. To my dismay, in the moments it had taken my wife to cross the house, Devin had found a can of Pringles I had neglected to put away the night before. By the time I entered the living room, Vicky's hands were resting atop her head in defeat as both puppy and toddler ferociously smashed and ate the tiny pieces of chips. Great. Clumsily vaulting over the baby gate, Vicky grabbed the broom and started sweeping up the mess. "I can get that, babe," I commented, attempting to grab the broom from her. Jet and Devin both swatted at the broom conspiratorially, one more feat on their eternal quest to thwart the ever-ongoing cleaning process. "No, that's okay," she smiled, taking a breath of victory as the last of the contained pile was off of the floor and out of their reach in a dustpan. "You have to finish packing," she lightly scolded. Just as one issue was dealt with, another arose. Our eldest son, Charlie, called out from his bedroom that he needed help logging into his school conference on his computer. "Relax," I say to Vicky as I kiss her cheek. "I'll take care of it. I barely have anything left to pack anyway. I'm sorry they're so crazy today." I murmured through on an awkward smile as I gestured to the 2 smallest members of our family. Charlie's almost fully situated with his laptop when I hear a shrill cry come from the kitchen area. I bounded out of his room to see her feet twist around each other as she futilely tried to attain balance. I started running for her, knowing full well I wouldn't reach her in time. The dustpan flies from her hand as it hits the floor with a hard thwack. "Fucking gate," I exclaim. "Jesus Christ, are you all right?" As my wife lays there waiting for the pain to kick in, our dog Jet tentatively makes her way through the broken section of the fence. The slightest smile formed at the corner of Vicky's lips, as if she was allowing herself the tiniest bit of comfort in the situation at Jet's presence. She was probably assuming that the dog was coming over to check on her. "Hey girl," she mumbles. Jet sniffs her face for a moment in response before proceeding to climb over it to devour the Pringle bits scattered on the floor. Great. The first thing I did after making sure that she was okay was chunk the baby gate out into the yard as far as I could throw it. I continued to check on her intermittently, but shock and adrenaline seemed to carry her through the rest of the day with little to no pain. She said her body felt stiff, sure, but that was about the extent of it. What we woke up to the next morning was a whole different story. "Fucking hell," I exclaimed. The covers were pulled from our feet as I swung my legs over the bed to get my bearings for the morning. Vicky's left foot was swollen and covered by a deep crimson bruise. Her pinky toe was slightly misshapen and set in a different direction than before. She began wincing audibly before my fingers even came in contact with her toe beside it. The end was scuffed and scabbed over, but so far it looked the pinky toe was the only one broken. I was beyond horrified when the toenail separated at the slightest touch. I imagined it hurt like a son of a bitch. A gelatinous film of where the old blood melded with the new was visible from underneath the nail. It wiggled against my fingertip, and I just knew the main things holding it in place were her green nail polish and the sliver of skin with nerves attached. Mind you, I can't handle all of that shit. The scenes in the scary movies where someone's nail comes off as they grasp the wall for safety as they're abducted. Can't even do it. Not to mention the pain. I'm sure it already hurt like hell as it was. It wasn't likely that yanking the rest of it out would make it feel any better. "Are you sure I should go?" I asked worriedly. "I don't feel like leaving you here injured with 2 kids. I'll be in the woods a lot and service is shitty out there. Can you even walk?" We only had a limited window of time before the baby woke up and I had to leave. So with gritted teeth, she swung both legs over the edge of the bed, placed both feet on the floor, and limped to the bathroom. "I think I'll be okay," she called out in the friendliest voice she could manage. A random car horn blared outside, followed very shortly by Devin's shrill cries. "God damn it," she exclaimed. "I love you. I'll miss you. Call me when you can, okay?" She blurts dismissively before planting a passionate kiss on my lips. She means well, just gets stressed easily. I'm sure the business trip I was about to leave for didn't help either. But I was up against another guy, Mark, for a promotion. He wasn't able to make it due to family obligations. The joy on my boss's face as I assured him I'd be there cemented my lingering suspicions. If I did go, I knew I'd look a hell of a lot better for the job than Mark would. It's just the way things were. I needed a leg up. I deserved that promotion. And Vicky understood and was grateful for the opportunity for a higher paycheck. The drive was shorter than I expected. I won't bore you with the details after all. That's not why we're here. We're here because the text messages and voicemails I received throughout the weekend. As was mentioned previously, leaving her over 100 miles away with an injury was a little more disconcerting due to the fact that reception was rumored to be a joke where I was. That's why the location was picked. Minimal distractions. I had a 2-mile window of service on the way to the terminal where I was able to check my messages. They began flooding my phone in a symphony of pings. Voicemail, 9:58 a.m. "Hey honey, miss you. Your mom just came to pick the kids up. Thank God. So I ran some warm water in the tub, poured in some Epsom salt in a bubble bath and stepped right in. I was hoping that swishing my foot around enough would help the damaged nail fall off on its own. The water took on the slightest tinge of pink after I placed my foot under the faucet. Pain seared through my leg like a lightning bolt. It was awful. Sadly, the only thing washing my feet accomplished was to piss me off. Also, did you know that warm water increases bleeding? A not so helpful tidbit after the fact, Chris. After folding a paper towel into fourths and grabbing my peroxide, I was ready to get it over with. I remember wishing my dad was there. You remember the deal, right? You'd have a loose tooth and your dad would tie a string around it, attach the other end to a cabinet or a doorknob or something, and then slam it. He's told you about it at least 100 times. It's much more anticlimactic than it sounds, but yeah, I really wish the same rules of physics could be applied to a fucking nail. Anyway, I bit down on a washcloth like I'd seen people do in the old war movies, perched my still dampened foot on the ledge of the sink, and grabbed hold of the nail. The paper towel was too slick against the fresh flow of blood to get a decent grip. Or maybe that's just the excuse I gave myself to avoid intensifying the pain. I'm gonna leave it for a while and try again later. I wish you were here. 11:17 a.m. My foot slipped off of the damn vanity. It hit the knob on the door on the way down. Ugh. Swirls of red, black, and white consumed my vision as I swore into the cloth in my mouth. The cotton fibers against my tongue threatened to gag me as I bit down after the last K sound of a freshly uttered fuck. 12:02 p.m. I found a small bloodied nub of a nail lying dejectedly on the floor. One way or another, I got the fucker. Right, babe? 5:38 p.m. Weird. So, where there was once blood, mar, and damaged tissue, now sits a perfect nail. Here, I'll send you a video. Moments later, a 4-second long video clip appeared in my inbox. 4 lime green painted toes wiggled effortlessly, with a perfect but unpainted one dancing along with them. 5:42 p.m. Okay, Chris, there are 2 options here. 1, the replacement nail grew crazy fast all day, which was more like 6 or so hours, in the damaged one's place. Or 2, I've gained access to unexplainable regenerative powers. Admittedly, I just looked at my screen dumbstruck. What the hell could I say to something like that? My eyes scanned her words repeatedly, desperate for any signs of levity or humor. There were none. She was dead serious. I'm writing this today because, as terrible and ludicrous as it may seem, my wife believed that she had in fact been granted with miracle regeneration. Chop it off and it'll grow back like new, assuming she survives the initial pain and bleeding. Sunday, 8:32 a.m. So don't freak out, but I've been running some tests. It started small at first with the tip of my thumb, but it escalated. Everyone has these little things that they don't like about themselves. Hey, what about my chickenpox scars? Back when my wife was a child in the early 90s, there were no chickenpox vaccines. You got it, stayed in bed, and were told not to scratch it until it was over. Vicky was no exception. Only her scars from having them were more visible than most. She had the cutest little bangs and had gotten a fresh round of hives just where the ends met her forehead and eyebrows. The more my mother-in-law got onto her for scratching, the harder she would do it. This resulted in 2 pockmarked scars buried directly in the middle of Vicky's forehead. One directly above the other, in between her eyes in a straight line. The reason I made you sit through that anecdote is because that's where she said she cut next. Another voicemail from Vicky said that she was convinced if she cut the smallest sliver of flesh from her forehead, the scars would be out of her life forever. After 33 years of painstakingly staring at them in the mirror, she said it would be a dream come true. A crippling wave of panic and self-doubt must have overwhelmed her the moment she finished filleting the top part of her face because a flurry of messages followed in rapid-fire succession. Sunday, 9:49 a.m. Christ, Chris. What if it doesn't grow back? Did I really let slight discomfort make me replace 2 small marks with a gaping square? How the hell would I explain the new scar? I think I'm going to take something. Okay, more than one thing for anxiety. Just lie down and anxiously await tomorrow. My forehead is on fire. It seems like it would almost be impossible to fall asleep. Somehow I'll manage. Sunday, 1:18 p.m. I woke up with no pain. It must have worked. Peeling the blood-crusted gauze away and washing my skin revealed a smooth patch of peach flesh underneath. The marks are gone, along with any traces of my self-surgery. I feel incredible. Sunday, 2:54 p.m. I'm gonna try my lips next. You have no idea how badly I've wanted fuller lips. Sadly, it doesn't work like that, though. Sunday, 3:14 a.m. It gives you exactly what you should have had before. No enlargements. In the end, I was just so happy to have them back that I didn't care what size they were. The stakes feel higher and higher each time I try something new, but I just can't stop. I'm writing to you all because my plane leaves in less than half an hour, and she says I'm ready to get serious. No more selfish cosmetic crap. For whatever reason, as much as I still doubt it, it appears my wife has been given a gift, and she's ready to test its limits. A few years back, she started suffering from terrible back problems. For a while, I thought something went wrong with her epidural when Devin was born. A visit to a surgeon revealed that not to be true. There's been a mass slowly forming on the upper middle part of my wife's back. I remember the cold, confusing weeks that followed as she pushed me away to protect me from her damaged fate. As much as it sounds necessary, my insurance won't cover surgery until her condition ceases mobility completely, deeming it a life-saving procedure. By then, there would be a good chance that too much damage will have already been done. My Uber had dropped me off at the house. Though I'd only been gone for 3 days, the entire aura of our house seemed different. Darker. As much as I felt the overwhelming need to rush through the front door to check on her, part of me was terrified of what I might find. We didn't have much time to figure this out before Mom brought the kids back home. I almost wanted to call her and tell her not to even bring them. But then I would have to explain why and what was going on. These were questions I wasn't quite prepared to answer. The smooth but soul-crushing sound of heartache rang through the house. Vicky was playing one of her mother's old Tammy Wynette albums. Our home was clean for the most part. I'd expected blood and discarded body parts to be strewn about the apartment. My wife's humming grew louder along with my heartbeat as she turned the corner. She was beautiful. I was so relieved to come home to the woman I married that I instantly picked her up and twirled her around. We kissed several times before setting her back down again. I held her tight in my arms, chuckling with joy of relief. Then, I looked in the living room mirror. Her face separated from my shoulder, leaving strings of pus and blood in its wake. My wife's forehead was slick with infection. Sinew and muscle tissue gleamed against the living room light. I could see every bit of visceral damage done to my wife's face. Shoving her away, I looked at my shoulder and there was nothing. Where the mirror showed a disgusting stain of fluids was crisp cotton to my naked eye. I've moved most of the mirrors, covering the ones too heavy for travel. Sheets adorn our windows, keeping our children from their normal sunlit play. I play with them outside a lot, and it doesn't seem to be a problem, as long as they don't catch her reflection in a car's window. I have no idea if I'm losing it or if there really is something fundamentally wrong with her. She is begging me to help her with her back, to free her from the life of pain and torment. I wonder if this has ever happened to anyone else. After all, YouTube and the internet can teach someone to do just about anything. I'm scared that if I don't agree to this, she's ready to do it herself before most of her spine is infected. What should I do?